Good day, fine folks. Oh, wow. Oh, you gotta take a look at this. Look at that fog bank. Like, on the other side of that fog bank, there's an entire fucking cityscape. You can't see any of it because of that pall of fog. Yeah. Neat. Neat. And it's interesting, if it wasn't for, like, microdosing, that'd be the kind of thing that I would look at and just go, oh yeah, that's cool, whatever. That's kind of what depression does to you. I mean, like, in this book, he does a pretty good job of describing how, the difference between someone with depression and someone who is, your average person or an optimist, even will see the moon and, like, oh wow, it looks like a clipped little fingernail, and it's just got this sulfurous cloud just passing by it. Isn't that beautiful? And then they'll be like, yeah, and then just move on. Like, that's it's kind of what it's like. It just sort of it like renders everything, at the very least, like, banal, and sort of just saps the mystery out of everything. Mystery, the allure, the enigma, which is, why I think it's very easy to get trapped in a cycle of lethargy, isolation, dissociation, if you can. I mean, I can't dissociate just naturally. I mean, I can if I do a fuckload of ketamine or, like, a bunch of THC edibles or what have you, but, it's not that I want to dissociate necessarily. I try to use, like, psychoactive drugs to enhance my understanding of reality and to enhance the quality of my experience in it. Now, I haven't been able to afford ketamine for a while now, and I mean, I don't experience any adverse effects from stopping it. Like, and I stopped very abruptly from using a lot to nothing overnight, and it's pretty much fine. And I think it's a good thing to take a tolerance break, because, when you're doing IMs of, 125 milligrams at least of, like, pure RNS, that's a lot. That is way too much, especially if you're not cabling from it. Like, and I'm pretty sure, like, it was starting to take a toll on my bladder, but, yeah, so needless to say, I'm breaking from that and smoking a fuckload of weed because, like, I just can't deny that, like, I do require, like, a great deal of analgesia just to get through the fucking day. The benzo withdrawal, the pain, the depression, it's a lot. I mean, right now I'm just smoking dreaded sativa because it's early in the morning and I want to do stuff today. And I'll probably upload this in a bit. I made my own moon rocks last night, which is, you take bud and you're supposed to dip it in hash oil and then roll it in keef. I didn't have hash oil, and I don't think I'd make it with hash oil anyways, because that hash I can put in my grinder without fucking, I don't use a, like, normal, like, manual grinder for hash, because that's just, like, a recipe for getting it stuck all over the inside of the grinder. But I use, like, a magic bullet, so I just put it in there, grind it up, then put in the bud, and then once that's pretty much ground up, I put in keef. Then I take it out and I put in CBD isolate too, so it's like, it's got me pretty fucking stoned. Yeah, great, for analgesia, and I just chose to use a sativa for it because I was already putting in CBD, and sativas tend to yield more THC. And just tastes better overall. Yeah, I'll upload that video. But what I wanted to get to was, so I was watching one of those iceberg videos, and unless it's by a channel like Wendigo, I could care less about fucking icebergs. I'm getting desperate when I'm watching videos like that. But I just found this channel, doesnt, I believe. He's got some pretty good videos. I mean, the icebergs he found are, like, admittedly, like as someone who has been a conspiracy theorist aficionado for a long time, and that, I've loved them since I was 8. And I think the first one I remember stumbling across was Betty and Barney Hill. The first, like, real. I should choose my words carefully here. It was the first public alien abduction account that described what became sort of the archetypal alien abduction scenario. And a lot of it was not remembered, but then they did regressive hypnosis, which has been shown to be something that essentially, like, will feed people answers. And so it's, like, inherently very unreliable. I mean, depending on how you use it, who uses it, how neutral they are. Because I've done regressive hypnosis with an Adlerian psychologist. It was fascinating. He took, like, the earliest memory I could muster, which was, as a kid, I believe it was my mom accidentally backed over my favorite toy with her car, which, just stupid me for putting it, like, right under her back wheel. I mean, maybe a part of me wanted to see it go bang and fucking explode into a million pieces, which it did, because it was a fucking little plastic playset, and, not a very heavy fucking car. But it was so fascinating because he like lucidly brought me back to it, to where I was like I felt like a fly on the wall, like, watching it happen, which turned that just fragmented snapshot of the memory into like a memory that sort of unfurled, and I remembered more and more and more of the nuances of what was going on. And, of course, I reserve some doubt, maybe I was just spinning the narrative myself. I was fabricating in my own head. Yeah, it's possible, but it wasn't so much the point of the exercise. The point of the exercise was that I remembered the primary facets of that regressive recall, that took that snapshot image, and what we did is we analytically dissected it, and we interpreted how my conscious, subconscious, whatever choice, this was a long time ago, so, bear with me, I'm getting all the beats of what happened, but, my memory of exactly the details being used, like, he was an Adlerian psychologist. I'm personally, like, I've read some Adler books that he gave me, and I don't really agree with a lot of it. I think he's one of the better psychologists in psychodynamics, but, so what I'm getting at is I don't remember everything about the method that he used, but in any case, we, through a back and forth discussion, found out how, in a metaphorical sense, analogous sense that my psyche, let's say, chose that specific memory on that day because it, when interpreted, had lessons that proved to be keys for unlocking the various issues that had me feeling shackled and frankly desperate and helpless at the time, because this was kind of around me starting to accept that I was an addict, and that I was living on the streets and shit like that. And so, as I said, it was a long time ago, but I bring this up because I think that regressive hypnosis, like anything, can probably serve purpose. Like, actually, I know, Ken. I can tell you. I mean, I don't know the case off the top of my head. It's been a long time since I've heard about it. You can probably Google this, Snopes it, fucking whatever. Feel free to prove me wrong if I, took in some misinformation, which, hey, the internet is full of misinformation. But I'm pretty sure there's been at least a few cases of individuals who were either victims of a crime or witness someone fleeing a crime in the vehicle, and remembered maybe 2 letters or numbers from their license plate, but not the entire license plate. And so with I don't know what the term would be for someone they'd bring into a police station. I mean, that would probably be up to the chief. The choice to bring in psychics, which I think is just, I mean, yeah, it comes from a place of desperation, but so it's not the police, the officer, detectives, it's not their family members, who will be misled if the psychics are fucking wrong, which they tend to be, because there's no validity to what they're fucking saying. I mean, there could be in some people, but certainly not those who are out there fucking trying to make money off of their God-given abilities or whatever. If God granted you with a fucking, ability like clairvoyance or whatever, and you are, say, Christian, which a lot of these psychics tend to be, then you are clearly fucking hypocrites. All the time I hear religious people saying, oh yeah, Jesus fucking, he wanted nothing to do with the money, he went through the fucking marketplace and he saw someone selling doves, and because doves are I don't know exactly what the correlation was. I think it's because the Holy Ghost is supposed to appear in a form like a dove, so there was significance, I guess, to Jesus in that regard. So he started flipping fucking tables over, and I remember in Catholic school there's one part of the Bible we read, was it Gospels? That's the story of Jesus, King James Bible, I'm pretty sure. Anyways, if it wasn't for midnight mass, I would not fucking even know that. Yeah, no, I remember the story. It was the end of a sermon, and people were coming up to give donations after Jesus' sermon, and this rich boy was like, I'm gonna fucking just, swag it up, and I'm gonna be fucking flashing cash and making a show of how much I care through my monetary fucking, and this is clearly there's a lesson there and it's a lesson that's relevant to this day because evidently not a lot of people have learned. Not that I'm saying I think that Jesus is the fucking penultimate moral teacher, but I'm saying that even though I may have ideological differences and fundamentally regard Christianity as antiquated and flawed and no longer fit for a modern society, I can agree with some of fucking Jesus's shit, like with this, like this guy fucking makes a show of donating a bunch of money, which is like fucking nothing to him because he's already got tons of money. And he's essentially just trying to buy the crowd's approval and reverence of his like noble fucking sacrifice that really meant nothing to him. And then this old lady comes up and she has like no money left except for like one fucking shekel, whatever the fuck the currency was back then, coin of some sort. And she gives it, and Jesus, like, fucking chastises the dude, the rich fucking smug motherfucker, and I'm pretty sure throws him out of the church. And he proceeds to adulate this woman because she gave everything that she owned. Which, I think there's, merit to most of that lesson, but the whole like, oh yeah, she gave everything she owned, okay, like clap, bye, like, okay, well, if it was such a little amount of money, but because she was broke, and like owned fucking like nothing in a monetary sense, why would you keep that? Why not give it back to her? I mean, I don't. Maybe I am misremembering, and he does give it back to her, but I'm pretty sure that's not the case. I'm pretty sure it's not the case. You can also make the argument there's so many different interpretations of the Bible, and maybe in one he does, but I mean, for the purpose of the majority of those who believe in stories of the Bible, stories from the King James Bible, which is even name your Christian denomination who uses that particular holy book will admit that it is extremely flawed, and was just kind of a mishmash of like a whole fucking bunch of different books, and that it was like really poorly translated, and it's been like retranslated so many times, and like it literally used to, and this I find fucking hilarious. So, and for the Ten Commandments, which you think would be like, if they're gonna put some attention on anything, because the Ten Commandments are supposed to be like your centrifuge of fucking morals, like everything you do, like when it comes to making a moral decision or a perceived moral decision, I'm a hard determinist. I don't believe we really make free decisions. We have the illusion of free decisions, but that doesn't stop me from at least acting like I can take responsibility, but yeah, I mean, people default back to the Ten Commandments fucking all the time, if they're religious. But I mean, you also don't have to be religious to acknowledge that, hey, murdering people, stealing from your neighbor is not a good thing to do. Yeah. Hence why I say this kind of stuff is antiquated and we don't need it anymore. Maybe there's validity to the argument that it served a major role in like keeping people from just doing heinous shit to one another, but at the same time, like Russell Colin, True Detective, says, brother, the only thing keeping a person in their place, or something to that effect, is the prospect of a divine afterlife. Well, frankly, that person's a piece of shit. Which, hey, I don't disagree with, because, like, you know, it's like the Western fucking, I've always been, just turned off from the idea of karma, because, like in my city, there's so many fucking, like new age type people, and who, like, are all white, and all uh like they proselytize as hard as someone who is like a rigid Catholic or something, or a Mormon. Like, I have distant cousins who are Mormons, which is so weird to me that there are Mormons in Canada. That just, like, Mormonism is, like, I think the only reason it ever got off the ground and became what it was because it was an American brand. I mean, it was an American religion. It changed the Bible story. So Jerusalem was in the States, and the American Indians were actually the lost Israelites, which was just an excuse to fucking enslave them. Because of course it was. Re-educate them, because despite supposedly being this, like, prestigious fucking holy group of oppressed people, who, according to Mormons, came from, it's so, I mean, their fucking beliefs are so confusing, who came here by boat. Yes, there's merit to the fact that indigenous people most likely traversed from Mongolia during an ice age, so, like, walked across the ocean, while it's frozen, which is pretty fucking badass. I mean, I'm sure not an easy feat for a human, like, completely bereft of modern day creature comforts. But anyways, fuck was I even talking about again? Mormons. Yeah, I have cousins who are Mormons, and yeah, they're Canadian. They live in Canada, but they do the whole thing. The LDS. Dress up like Michael Douglas, and falling down and go door to door, fucking, like, creepy smiles. Oh, have you heard about the Book of Mormon? And the thing is, my cousin's a fucking insanely smart guy. Like, he's developed his own video games, which are, like, actually pretty impressive. I played some of them. But like, I don't want to share personal information about him, but he is very clearly guilted into his faith, and it's unfortunate. But that is how religions work. That's, like, part of their policy for keeping their hooks on people, is to make them feel guilty, prisoners of their own conscience, and not just their own conscience, but a conscience that's values constantly being measured by God, tested by God. And I don't know if Mormons believe in original sin, but just that idea of the fact that, like, you're born wretched and corrupted, so if you don't do X, Y, and Z, baptism, communion, then you're fucked either way. Like, that just seems like, if these institutions claim to be like the only real moral arbiters and the only real reason that people are like displaying ethical behavior. And that kind of goes against it entirely. Like, that goes against that notion entirely, because if you're born with original sin and you haven't been baptized, whatever, the fuck doesn't matter if you go out and like commit as many sins as you want, because you're going to hell either way. Right? Like, I mean, it seems like, that's not logic I would ever employ, because my conscience is too fucking hyper aware to I get my conscience gets sensitive. I remember the night I got COVID. It was very interesting that I discovered I had it. I remember I did a bunch of ketamine because I was feeling so crappy, and I coughed, and it was like the particles in the air, like I could see them as time slowed down, and I just noticed that, like, both the way I was coughing and the way the particles were going very, very far, that what I had was way more contagious than your average influenza or something like that. And I immediately tested myself, boom, had COVID. Yeah. But if I didn't have that revelation, I would have fucking gone to a rave that night and infected who knows how many people, and that would have made me feel terrible, because, like, I know when I caught it, and it was either on the C bus or on the bus, like, from the C bus to my house, because it was packed with fucking tourists. No one was wearing a mask. The bus was packed. But even though, like, the symptoms didn't kick in until about a couple hours after that, I would, like, once they did, I was thinking, oh my god, like, how many people did I infect? There were fucking kids sitting across from me, there's an old man beside me. Am I a fucking, like, unintentional murder? Oh my god, just, yeah, hypersensitive conscience, to the point of just, like, being illogical, but I certainly, it doesn't, like, I don't require a karma or divine reward to try and be a decent person. And, like, here's the thing, like, I'm a misanthrope. I hate humanity. I think we have no fucking hope. I think that, the best person in the world, you give them fucking enough power and control over resources, economic trends, like, they will turn fucking evil. But at the same time, and especially, like, I live in a city that's fucked. Like this city, it chews you out. It chews you up and it fucking spits you out half digested. I mean, that's the best way I could describe it. Like, I don't know anyone who's actually, like, grown up in the city who hasn't gone through some serious shit. Like, fucking, for me, being homeless, fucking shooting, fucking very dirty drugs that I didn't test, fucking getting in very dangerous fights with people twice my size, getting fucking stabbed, just constantly, like, being under the fear of being robbed, fucking, overdosing, like, going into withdrawals, like, so much, of the insanity, and just the way that, like, people not only punish themselves, but, like, there's just so much outrage, and I get it. I get what it's like to be, addicted, like, heavily to something, and to feel like no matter, like, because even when I was homeless, I was barely sleeping, I was spending my days going from place to place to place to place, trying to find the help that I needed. But I was always let down. And you know, just felt really on my own. So like, I get that there's a rage that comes with that. Like, you know, at the time I'd get drunk and I'd pick fights and fucking end up in the drunk tank and stuff. You know, I was young, I was angry, frustrated, just you know, indignant with my situation, I guess is the best way I could describe it. And you know, I get that. That's you know, like for someone who's been an addict for their entire life simply because you know someone hasn't listened to them and given them proper treatment, and you know they've been dehumanized. I kind of understand that, but at the same time, even when I was an addict, I still had a conscience. Like, you know, I couldn't stoop to behaviors that just were wrong to me. And I've met a lot of addicts who um, are like trapped in this childish mindset of like I deserve this, that, and the other, like just spoiled brats, and it's like oh, what have you given back to earn the status where like people owe you fucking everything. Like like yeah, I get the drugs may be skewing your perspective, but something tells me even if you were sober, fucking you would still be demanding, fucking possessive, entitled. Fuck, just a spoiled fucking shit. Um, and you know, I mean, I'm not perfect in that regard, but I certainly don't treat people like they owe me something. Like if I do anything, uh, that makes me in debt to someone, especially when it comes to money, like I will lose sleep um, during the interim between them, you know, whatever it may be, uh, you know, fucking, fucking fronting me drugs or whatever. Um, I will never ask for much. I mean, back when I sold cocaine and stuff like that, I would front an ounce because I was selling at least an ounce every week, sometimes. So, like, but the money always came back. Because yeah, I hate being in debt to someone because that means I'm not in control of my finances. I mean, my finances literally haven't been worth fucking very much in a long time. But at the same time, I don't want to feel like I'm fucking you know dining on someone else's bread and butter. So like I'll pay them back with like the first fucking chance I get. Even if that means sacrificing something else. Like I remember I did this film program a long time ago, and I was going through a hard time. Fucking you know heroin, all that. Wasn't able to get like opioid fucking maintenance medications, and so like one night I was in fucking terrible withdrawal. This fucking guy who was my former best friend, I mean, I think he's like a complete sociopath, and I do not throw around that term lightly. Please keep that in mind. I'm talking about sociopath like in the clinical sense, of like being a pathological liar who like convinces people into like essentially just like gets them under his thumb. Um, you know, the things he convinced me of, just in retrospect, like makes my brain reel. 'Cause I'm like, wow, that should have been so fucking obvious, but no, he was just so damn persuasive. Um, but yeah, no, like he managed to persuade his way into while I was like, you know, like I was renting out like the basement suite in my parents' old place, and you know, as I said, when you're on disability, you barely have enough for rent and groceries. So, like, he, and this was like, you know, fucking peak of irony, because when I was homeless, he never let me fucking crash at his place. Or never offered. I mean, I didn't ask because I really tried not to impose myself on people when I was homeless. Which led to me biting the bullet a lot of the time and just trying to sleep on the street, which, you know, usually wouldn't happen. I'd usually just be fucking freezing my fucking balls off until morning. But yeah, I mean, anyways, he stayed at my place, vowed to pay rent, which he never did. He just sat there, played video games, and fucking, um, like, he constantly was borrowing money off me, which I had very little of, to buy fucking weed with. And at this point in time, I very rarely smoked weed. If I did, it was like a couple of puffs. Um, but I was really in bad withdrawal the night before I was starting this like fairly high profile film program. I unfortunately I did pretty well at the program, and I edited my own little documentary on missing 411, which is just like fun kind of conspiracy stuff. But anyways, yeah, like I really didn't want to fucking like A, go all night without sleep, just feeling worse and worse, and B, being full withdrawal the next morning. So like fucking just I was pretty much like in a fetal position, like, dude, please fucking, can you lend me $30? Like, I know you hate that I fucking use this. I hate that I use it. Like, I'm not even gonna take enough to get high. Like my plan was to take a cue of heroin, which was enough to admittedly get me high at the time. Not very high, but um, and the cue would cost about 35. But I got my dealer to, because I had been seeing him for a long time at that point, and he was like a hardcore like triad or some shit. But, like, anyways, like, yeah, and this was back when real fucking heroin. Like oftentimes you couldn't even use just put in a cooker with water. You had to mix in like vitamin C or like I never used vinegar, but like some people use vinegar. I just imagine that would hurt like hell. Not be the best for your veins. And I punished the fuck out of my veins back in the day, but yeah, so like finally he relented, and I'd never heard the fucking end of it for the rest of the night. And I was like, dude, just please, I need to sleep and fucking like get up for this fucking thing. And so in the morning, like, I managed to get some money, and I did like a tiny fucking bag of heroin. Just like I was in withdrawal, but like barely for that day, and I actually did pretty well that day. I held on to the $30 that I owed him, and I paid him back that fucking day, so less than 24 hours later. But still, you know, he made a complete stink about it. But yeah, when I was like a full-blown addict, and you know, my brain was convinced I needed this above all, um, I never stole from friends. I never shot up in front of friends. What I would do is like I would tell them I was going to the washroom to fix or whatever. So I'd do it behind closed doors, and like I was very discreet about it. Like I would like whisper to like whoever's house it was, and be like, don't worry, I'm just doing enough to keep myself well. I don't want OD. Like, you know, it's like I'm a naloxone kit in case I do, but it's very unlikely I will. Um, but it didn't matter because, you know, those very people ended up telling fucking the world that I was shooting up in front of, like, multiple people at parties, like, hey, look at me, I'm shooting up, fucking everyone gather around, like, no. I saw how I became normalized to needles and hard drugs, and it was by being around my ex and her ex, who she lived with at the time, because they both dealt drugs kind of together. But I mean, oh my god, she just, like, every conversation. I mean, I can't even call them conversations because it was one way. It was her absolutely fucking just ripping into him and telling him how he does this wrong, that wrong, and I mean, not that I want to defend him. I don't think he's a great person, but they very much normalized me to that sort of thing, and so I didn't want to do that to my friends. Like, even back then, and I was pretty fucking stupid back then. I still had the presence of mind to be like, okay, I'm not going to expose this to my friends, because even I know at this point, even though I'm lying to myself and convincing myself that I'll be a functional addict or whatever the fuck, you know, because you have very heavy cognitive dissonance going on when you are an addict. You know, but I still cared enough to try and preserve the lives of others. So, you know, I think, like my homeboy fucking right now, like, he, you know, he used to be an addict himself, so he gets fucking, you know, the crazy shit that can make you do. I mean, when we met, it was doing fucking the hot rails, fucking methamphetamine, which, like, just, like, it makes me want to puke just, like, thinking about. Well, but, yeah, like, because he's, you know, like, a plumber, you know, like, he needs his car, and his car, like, it looks like a fucking little armored tank, or armored truck, but, like, a little APC or whatever, but, you know, it still got windows, and, you know, people have, if he parks downtown, like, people have smashed the windows, they've managed to somehow open the door from the inside with, like, I don't know, like, jamming. I think he said they jammed a crowbar in the door, and, like, because I don't think his truck has alarms. They made a space big enough for them to slip something in, pop the lock open. Like, that's the thing, like, you can't even leave, like, an empty pack of smokes on your seat in a car in the city, unless you want someone to fucking smash the window. You're practically asking for it at that point. I know that sounds fucking, like cold and callous, but it's like, that's how big the risk is. It's like the other day, I was walking past the SkyTrain station, and there's a parking lot. And it was kind of by downtown, which is sort of the central area for, you know, just like the absolute fucking hurricane of death, degradation, fucking. That is the local epidemic of fentanyl and shit like that. You know, this woman had someone break into her car just so they could pass out in the driver's seat, and so, like, the cops were just standing around doing nothing while the woman was, like, kind of, like, looking very ticked off, and because he smashed the window to get in there. But, like it's weird, because cops in my city, they have, like, a policy of, like, not incarcerating people who are addicts, at least, you know, not for a short period of time. Like, if it's something that's, like, a big deal, like a massive fucking because there's a lot of with the meth users, there's a lot of like puppy mills, kitten mills. Yeah, it's fucked up. I know. I fucking hate it. If I knew where I'd want to fucking go and like pay them a visit with like some heavy objects. Like, not that I'm being a proponent for vigilante justice, but I'm sorry, animal abuse just pisses me off. Like on the same level as child abuse, because both kids and animals are innocent, that they don't have the existential capacity that we do, and so to do anything to steal that from them, I think, is beyond deplorable. I mean, it just like should be common sense, but common sense is becoming, second language, third language, fourth language, to the point where it's like people aren't even fucking versed in it. I probably sound like a boomer right now, but it's like sad but true. I mean, same time, ignorance, stupidity, greed, malice. These are things that are just part of human nature. I've been around, as long as we have. But like fucking hell. But yeah, I mean, if they were to bust someone who say was doing that, and the thing is, most people use meth or cocaine or like crack cocaine or like IV cocaine, we'll use fentanyl or downs, they call it. So it's usually I'm just saying fentanyl because it's not actually fentanyl. It's just like fentanyl analogs. Because like China doesn't actually send fentanyl anymore. They send analogs. Like same thing as like research chemicals, where like if one thing's made illegal, they'll tweak the chemical a little bit, and then they'll send the new like legal version, which is almost identical. So yeah, like people will get that and they'll mix it with the tislam on their own. Yeah, it's just bad news all around. Excuse me. But yeah, if a cop was to arrest someone who could go, especially with benzodiazepine withdrawal, like that can like kill you. The cops don't want the liability risk, and B, they have to deal with someone going through extreme withdrawal, so they will usually just let them walk. But when it comes to people selling pot and psychedelics, fucking take all those unused resources and just direct them at that crowd, because we admittedly, my city, at least officials, I won't say people I know personally do this at all, but city officials, they pander a lot to Chinese tourists, because we get a lot of revenue from them, same Japanese tourists, Korean tourists, and we also owe China a lot of money, like most Western countries. And China and Japan have very stringent anti-drug policies. Like my buddy who he spent I think 7 years in Japanese prison for trafficking ecstasy, or getting caught trafficking ecstasy, and then another 2 years in a Canadian prison, and he got out for good behavior, and he got a suspended sentence essentially. He said that they literally have the reefer madness mentality of if you smoke pot, you will be doing heroin tomorrow. No joke, it's that bad. Fucking for those of you who've seen Enter the Void, the main character at the beginning, a lot of people I remember found this ludicrous, that the ecstasy dealer, who's the main character, who the whole movie's kind of shot from his perspective, like, and this is no spoiler because like it's like it happens right at the beginning of the movie. He got set up, like in a sting operation while doing like a pretty small scale like ecstasy trade. I think he was like selling like 30 tablets or something. And yeah, the dude fucking snitched, and fucking so the cops they try to arrest him, and the dude runs into the washroom, and it's one of those Japanese toilets, so can't just flush it down the toilet. It's like, you know, that kind of fucking thing that fills up with water, and like there's a little sink-like thing, so you gotta kind of like fucking keep fucking trying to flush the water down, and they're like telling him to come out with his hands up and everything. And, yeah, I was just making a video, but yeah, so like he and I like personally, I think it's a very cool movie. It's not my favorite movie by the director, but like how I remember watching it on shrooms, like a lot, like fucking really strong shrooms, like back in the day, like a good like 5 grams, and like the whole POV, and it's funny because Gaspar Noé, whatever, the guy who made the movie, like a crazy French dude, he said he came up with the idea by doing mushrooms and watching like an old detective film in black and white, and in the detective film he felt like he was like watching it like inside the narrative, but from like a fly on the wall perspective, basically. And so yeah, he came up with okay, we'll shoot this entire movie from the POV of someone who's dead and going through at least the illusion of like the Bardothal Book of the Dead type. You know, you go through your life, you follow the people who, you know, are reacting to your death, and you go through your life. And it's very cool because it's filmed from like the ceiling, going through room after room after room after room. You know, with clearly custom-made sets, and it's very bright, and it's Tokyo. You see kind of the less desirable parts of Tokyo, but like most of his movies, you know, that's typically what happens. I won't even get started on some of them, but you know, so I watched on mushrooms, and like it was very powerful. But yeah, the dude, he's like trying to flush all these pills, and the cops are like, if you don't open the door, well, or no, he says he has a gun. That's right. So in a way, he did kind of provoke them. But as I said, they have fucking like extremely fucking stringent laws against drugs, and it's weird because they work with the Yakuza. It's like well known that the Japanese government and law enforcement works with the Yakuza, because the Yakuza runs the prostitution rackets and the gambling rackets and the red light districts, and they are supposedly anti-drug, even though at least members who may or may not have been under orders of like a higher up have been known to bring meth into the country, which is like, you know, this is a fucking prime example of why like very like balls to the wall prohibition is just a bad idea, because meth is now the most common fucking drug in the country. I mean, other than alcohol and cigarettes, because they really like to drink and smoke there, but yeah, so like in the movie, he's like, I have a gun, fucking leave me alone. And as soon as he says this, you just hear bang, and fucking, you know, he's like shot, looking down at himself, and then, you know, you see his body as he leaves his body, and boom, rest of the movie. Fucking very fucking cool movie, but I also like how Gaspar, like he said that like the whole, like, because before the character gets shot, his buddy's telling him about, how like fucking you, because the dude's like a DMT addict. It's fucking crazy. I mean, they have a terrible fucking DMT stimulation, but you know, whatever. I like that. Like, that doesn't fucking bother me that much. Movies are full of like almost invariably inaccurate depictions of psychedelic trips, and I mean, you can fucking send any suggestion my way, but I've seen pretty much all of them. But in any case, yeah, his buddy's telling him about, like, kind of the beats of the Bard of Thal and the Book of the Dead, Tibetan Book of the Dead. And so, like, what Noy says is, you didn't say this is, like, 100% true, you just, like, at least consider this. So I think he was kind of like, wink, nudge, yeah, this is what's happening. That it's not so much that the character is actually experiencing the death process as outlined in that guide to dying, but he was still high on DMT when he went to meet the dude, and he had just heard his buddy talk about this book. So essentially, he, in his mind, his brain, you know, having this like insane spatial warping, you know, time and space shifted in such a way as all the like you know, his brain was just dumping out all the neurochemicals and you know, just firing on all cylinders, because that's what happens when you die, unless of course, you know, obviously you got your head blown off or whatever, you know, and you don't have a brain to do that. But you know, like he essentially had the trip of experiencing, you know, all this outlined in the Book of the Dead, and it's all, you know, it kind of invalidates the whole plot, but I mean, it doesn't matter because the plot is fucking insane. Like, it's not a super deep plot, but it is a fucking insane sort of thrill ride, you know. So it's one of those things where the experience of watching it is sort of like why you would want to watch it. But yeah, no, I mean, in any case, like when it comes to stuff like religion, you know, I think that so much of it is like misconstrued, either like psychedelic experiences or mental illness, or like the Kabbalistic Jews. I'm on battery here, so I'll probably have to sign off in a second. The Kabbalistic Jews who would go out into the desert and fucking like just essentially get heat stroke to the point where they start hallucinating. Like they had actually like built layers that you could reach through their means, their visionary means of reaching like various levels of like God's realm or whatever the fuck you want to call it. And it's like very similar to like Timothy Leary and Robert Anton Wilson's 8 model consciousness design, which you know, a lot of people these days, when they talk about levels of psychedelic experience, they refer to Shulgin and his like 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus, and yeah, that's I think a very. No, I'm just making a video. Okay. I'm supposed to talk to him on the phone at 1:30. 1:30? Yeah. You can confirm that? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, like Shulgin's model is a very easy way to understand across the board. You know, 1 plus means, oh yeah, I kind of feel a tingle here and there. 2 plus means, oh yeah, I'm tripping a little. 3 plus, oh, I'm really fucking tripping. 4 plus, I'm one with fucking everything. My God. Like full on ego death. Simple. Fine. No problems with that. But with that being said, I'm more of a fan of the 8 model. or a circuit model of consciousness, I believe it's called. A, because I love Robert Anton Wilson. The guy's fucking, like, smartest madman fucking ever, you know. Just, at least in the literary fucking sphere, philosophical sphere, I think. Uh, insanely prolific, completely eccentric, like, very, very, great sense of humor, very creative individual. Can't say enough good things about fucking Raw. Like, I love his, like, how he had rearranged the letters and the names of presidents, and I think Ronald Reagan was, like, Rabid Warthog or something like that. Anyways, the 8-circuit model is, like, it's more in depth than just dealing with psychedelics. It's like the first few circuits, I believe, are like have to do more with like opioids and alcohol and stuff that like sort of stunts or sedates you from being able to sedates your consciousness as a way of, I don't think they say this explicitly, but just in terms of being someone who subscribes to what like Peter Waffles Oppa talks about in his essay The Last Messiah. There are means with which people implement on a regular basis to cope with the fact that they're conscious beings. So I think I would just say that if it's not already outlined in their collaboration, I would say that is definitely a factor as to why people access those mechanisms of consciousness. I'm like talking to a friend right now who's she's starting to like deal with some serious issues as a result of drinking. She's definitely not I drink every day fucking, I'm an alcoholic. Like she drinks on the weekends, but she drinks way too much and then feels like shit the next day and can't hold down food. She's puking. Like, yeah, dude, fucking. Like, I know you kind of feel like you need this as a social lubricant. I did for a long time. But, weigh the pros and cons here is, it's taking a toll on your fucking health. And, do you feel a lot more anxious the next day? Then, is it worth that little bit of, relief from anxiety you may get the night before? But, I mean, anyways, like the models go up, and as they go up, it gets into stuff like cannabis and then psychedelics. I can't remember all of them off the top of my head. It's been a while since I've looked at it. But the 8th model is stuff like DMT and ketamine. Robert Anton Wilson, I think, has a particular penchant for ketamine. Because he said that the 8th model was, in his opinion, most accessible through ketamine, and he said that he could get there on almost any dose of ketamine, which I kind of get, because I remember before I had crazy tolerance. I could IM 50 milligrams of ketamine, and if I had the right music going and the eye shades on in the dark, I could go to some pretty fucking wild places. But I wouldn't have the full-on ego death to accompany it. And you also gotta keep in mind that the DMT back then was not it was not extracted from mimosa and stuff like that. At least not what Leary and Raw and Richard Alpert or whatever, Ram Dass, they weren't doing the DMT fucking vape. No, they're doing synthetic shit that the CIA develops. And I've read the trip report where Timothy Leary and the Hindu monk, I think, Richard Alpert, his assistant professor who became Ram Dass, and the psychiatrist who was doing it with them, they all did an intramuscular dose of 60 milligrams of synthetic DMT, which, holy fuck, I can only imagine how crazy that would be. And Timothy Leary said, like, he didn't like it. Like, he was like, no, this is too intense. And it's like, dude, this is Timothy Leary. This is the guy who's like taking fucking like hundreds of thousands of micrograms of LSD all the fucking time. I mean, I remember reading somewhere that a group of people were doing DMT at Timothy Leary's like cultish compound when G. Gordon Liddy and the rest of the fucking like what would become the DEA fucking vice squad like kicked in the door, and one of the dudes on DMT said he like saw like fucking like fire shooting out of fucking Liddy's eyes and stuff like that. But I don't know, it sounded kind of like a made up story, so I don't know. But it is a very interesting read. You hear like apparently the Hindu monk was just like fucking baffled, and all he could say was like, I was just lost in like these karmic webs, and oh my fucking god, like, yeah, I remember Timothy Leary said something about how everyone's faces like crystallized and they looked like stained glass before it just being shattered, and like he was like a ball just rolling from place to place to place to place, and he had like Richard Alpert's trying to talk to him, and this like it seemed like it was just annoying Timothy Leary, but like it'd probably annoy me if I was on DMT and someone's like, hey, where are you? Where are you? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? Like, dude, fuck off! Like I'm fucking balls deep, a fucking crazy trip. But yeah, no, it's like I